Hi, I'm Kat and I don't know how to put on a wig, but anyway, today I have for you a true crime case. I will also be doing my makeup at the same time, and I also have a word in Romanian, which is misterios. 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 Well done, guys, you just said mysterious. And today's case was actually suggested to me by Ashley, one of my YouTube viewers. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this wig. So seriously, I'm not sure how some of you guys can wear wigs and make them look so natural like your hair, because this one, I can't even brush it. Everything falls out if I brush it, and you can see clearly the net from it and everything else. But anyway, considering, we are in the Halloween month, I'm just going to whatever use it today. Yeah, okay. So before we start, I'm sorry, but I couldn't find any photos whatsoever about this case. Or maybe it was because I've been doing my research at 3 in the morning and I couldn't see properly anymore, or maybe I couldn't really process anymore at that time. But I don't know. I got the, like I said in the other video, I got the worst of news last week, and I wish I could tell you, but I'm not allowed legally, contempt of court and all that. And that's, I think, a great start to the Halloween month, right? Okay, for 300 years there have been over 200 documented cases of a rare and mysterious phenomenon where people are said to suddenly ignite and burn alive from within their own bodies, yet the flames mostly spare their surroundings. So I don't know what is going on here, right? In 1984, a strange fire took the life of a young cooking student from England. The exact cause of the fire has never been determined, leading to a lot of speculation over the years. Jacqueline Fitzsimons was born on 17th of February 1967. She was a student at Halton Technical College in Cheshire, England, studying cookery. She lived in Runcorn and she had two close friends called Wendy and Paula, who were students with her at the same college. On January 28, 1984, Jacqueline and her friends, Wendy and Paula, had finished their in-class cooking test and asked if they could leave the classroom early for break time. The teacher said no, so the girls waited around for another 15 minutes before class was dismissed at 10:55 a.m. The classroom stoves should have been turned off an hour earlier, but they were left on to give some heat in the classroom since the room had no heating system, and it was also January, so as you can imagine, it was cold. When class ended, Jacqueline, Wendy and Paula excitedly walked down the hall, arm in arm toward the stairs. Reaching the bottom of the first flight, Jacqueline suddenly cried out, "My back's hot, am I on fire?" Within seconds, flames engulfed her back. Two people said that they saw a strange glow appear over Jacqueline's right shoulder and drop onto her back, even though none of the girls were smoking. Students and staff quickly beat out the fire from Jacqueline's back. She was taken to the hospital, where it was found that her apron had partially melted into her skin, causing burns over 13 to 18% of her body. But despite her injuries, she remained conscious and she was quite upbeat. She said she had no pain except in one of her fingers. However, 15 days later, Jacqueline died because of a lung infection caused by inhaling smoke and fire. At the death inquest, her cooking teacher, Robert Carson, said that the stove burners were off 1 hour before class ended and Jacqueline had not been leaning on them anyway. Even if a burner had ignited her apron, witnesses saw the girls by the door several minutes before class ended. In the hospital, however, Jacqueline admitted that the burners were left on for heat. Much of the investigation focused on how long an apron could smolder before igniting. The estimated time was actually 30 seconds. After 10 minutes of deliberation, the inquest jury attributed the fire to the classroom stove burners, ignoring theories of spontaneous human combustion. Most of the people who have looked at the case doubt spontaneous combustion, since the fire seemed to start on her clothing rather than her body. However, the exact cause remains mysterious, and the inquest appeared rushed just to reach a convenient explanation. In January 1993, the New Horizons Research Foundation published a paper examining cases of spontaneous human combustion. They also looked at the inquest after Jacqueline's death, and they found some issues. At the inquest, discrepancies emerged in witness statements. The cooking lecturer denied leaving the stove burners on, but the students disagreed. Mr. Carson insisted that Jacqueline was not near the stove, and he would have noticed if her clothes were burning. Her friend Wendy and Paula said that the stove burners were left on to heat the cold classroom. They claimed that Jacqueline was not leaning on the stove when the fire started. Conflicting accounts were given about Jacqueline's actions before the fire. Some said that she was in the bathroom area, contradicting Wendy and Paula's statement. Her clothing was disputed as well, with flammable acrylic possibly involved. Vital fire brigade evidence was omitted. The jury's hasty verdict, amid much contradictory testimony, failed to provide definitive answers. Witness John Foy described Jacqueline's clothing igniting rapidly like a stuntman. She complained only of a burnt finger, although her back was badly burned. Student Karina Lezer reported seeing a strange glowing light fall onto Jacqueline's back before she caught fire. Jacqueline allegedly said, "It's gone down my back." Many doubts remain about the true cause. The inquest seemed rushed and biased against spontaneous combustion theories. The forensic scientist, Mr. Jones, initially thought that a stove burner ignited her clothing. But under questioning, he admitted his theory was uncertain and her clothing was unlikely to have ignited that way. Police interviews indicated that Jacqueline believed she must have leaned on the stove, although she didn't remember doing so. She claimed that her apron began smoldering on the stairs before igniting. In terms of Jacqueline's condition, she was conscious and talking after the incident with superficial back burns. She died from lung complications and infections, apparently caused by inhaling smoke and fire during the event. Jacqueline's death just shows the difficulty in explaining such mysteries. In 2013, Jacqueline's mother spoke out against paranormal investigators speculating that spontaneous human combustion caused Jacqueline's death. Jean Fitzsimons, who was 77 years old in 2013, publicly begged paranormal researchers to stop claiming that her daughter died from human combustion. Jean adamantly stated that Jackie died from the severe burns that she endured at Holton College. She also said that several publications and news articles have wrongly suggested spontaneous combustion as an explanation. One national magazine even doctored an image to show Jackie engulfed in flames, really upsetting the family. A TV documentary also appeared to depict Jackie descending the stairs, followed by a glowing blue light. But Jean maintained that the fire damaged to Jackie's clothing, along with her own statements about leaning on a lit stove burner, pointed to, sadly, a tragic accident. Describing that cold, snowy day, Jean said that the cookery room gas burner was lit for warmth. She felt that the college exploited the situation by bringing in a TV crew making the tragedy seem more sinister. The family struggled to cope after losing Jackie. Her younger sister was only 13 years old. Her father was never the same and he died 3 years later. Jean believed in free press, but she felt that some reports just crossed the line in handling the tragedy. A 2013 book chapter raised spontaneous combustion as one theory, concluding an unusual natural phenomenon was overlooked. The author apologized for upsetting the family, saying that he regretted writing about it. Jean hoped that setting the record straight will prevent further paranormal speculation about her daughter's sad death. Spontaneous human combustion is a phenomenon that puzzled experts, scientists, and paranormal investigators for years. The fire is said to originate within the human body, usually leaving only the body and clothing burnt, while nearby items are largely untouched. Strangely, damage is often found on ceilings above the remains. Also odd is that the victim is typically alone and shows no signs of struggle. Often only one limb is found intact among the ashes, usually a leg or a foot. Sometimes the shrunken skull survives as well. A 3-year 1984 study by scientists showed that most victims were elderly, had mobility issues, were alcoholics, and were near plausible external ignition sources, candles or fireplaces when they died. One accepted phenomenon is the wick effect. An external source ignites the body and the clothed human frame acts like a candle with body fat as fuel inside and clothing as the wick outside. In almost all of the cases, only remains are found with no witnessed flames. Ball lightning has been suggested as a paranormal cause, but there is very little evidence. Yet no external source was present on January the 8th, 1984, when Jacqueline Fitzsimons burst into flames. Does the human body somehow self-ignite for unknown reasons, causing horrific death? If so, do we trigger it, or are these cases really caused by external sources hyped into fire from within? Some spontaneous combustion can also be accidental. Salesman Jack Angel seemed a victim in 1974 until it came to light that he likely opened a hot water heater scalding himself. Media sensationalism obscures facts as well. Spontaneous combustion is not easily proved, but some cases resist all logical explanation. The phenomenon continues to intrigue as perhaps the most perplexing mystery of fire. For 300 years, as I've said in the beginning, there have been over 200 documented cases where people are said to suddenly ignite and burn alive from within their own bodies, but the flames don't touch the surroundings. The first recorded case dates back to the late 1400s in Milan, when a knight allegedly belched fire after drinking strong wine. In 1745, Countess Cornelia Zangari de Bandi of Cesena, Italy, allegedly burned to ash overnight, leaving only her legs and part of her head. Even though candles were present, the wicks were untouched. Over the centuries, more cases emerged from locations like Pakistan to Florida. Experts couldn't really explain the deaths. There was nothing odd about them, but there were also similarities with these deaths. The fire remained localized, with damage just above and below the victim, and the torso was reduced to ash while extremities survived. In 1951, in Florida, Mary Reeser allegedly burned to ash in her armchair, leaving just her foot in a sleeper. The landlady went to deliver a telegram to her, and when she found her doorknob hot, she called police, who found only Mary's ashes inside. A chair she sat in was also burnt, but her left foot, wearing a slipper and backbone, remained. Her skull had shrunk to the size of a teacup. The room showed very little evidence of the event. Despite meticulous investigation, no cause was determined. In December 1966, in Coudersport, Pennsylvania, friends said goodnight to retired doctor John Irving Bentley at his home. The next morning, a meter reader entered the house and discovered John's cremated remains in the upstairs bathroom. All that was left of him was half of his right leg, still wearing a sleeper, burnt off at the knee. The rest was reduced to ashes found in the basement below, with a 1-foot square hole burnt in the bathroom floor above. Nearby items like his walking aid, bathtub, and floor under the ashes were unmarked. In 2010, the coroner ruled spontaneous combustion killed Irishman Michael Faherty, though no source was found. On December 22nd, the badly burned body of the 76-year-old was discovered in his Galloway, Ireland home. Investigators found no accelerants or signs of foul play nearby, and they ruled out a fireplace at the scene. With only Michael's burnt remains and fire damage above and below to go on, forensic experts were puzzled. After much consideration, the coroner concluded that spontaneous human combustion was the cause of death, a controversial decision that fascinates and frightens a lot of people. So, I think that even I'm confused right now. Is it real or is it not? The idea of spontaneous human combustion has medical roots in the 18th century. In 1744, Paul Rowley, a fellow of London's Royal Society, coined the term to describe a process where a body allegedly catches fire from internal heat production without an external igniting source. The concept gained popularity with spontaneous combustion seen as a fate of heavy drinkers in Victorian times. Charles Dickens wrote it into his 1853 novel Bleak House, depicting a gin-loving merchant spontaneously bursting into flames. He faced criticism for depicting something science condemned, even as many witnesses swore it was real. Soon, other authors like Mark Twain and Herman Melville incorporated spontaneous combustion into their works as well, with fans citing many reported cases. But the scientific community remains skeptical of the over 200 documented cases worldwide. Skeptics doubt spontaneous causes. In most cases, witnesses just find remains, seeing no flames. Normal fire physics may explain the odd burn patterns. Fires often burn upwards and die out when fuel runs out, explaining the localized damage. The wick effect also illustrates how body fat can act as fuel, saturating clothing like a candle's wick, keeping temperatures high until nothing remains to burn. Ignition often starts near an external source, as most victims were elderly, alone, near an open fire or cigarette when they burned. Rather than alcohol causing internal chemical reactions, unconsciousness from a stroke or a heart attack likely caused the victims to drop cigarettes and be unable to stop the fire. With no witnesses, the ash doesn't really seem to have an explanation. Spontaneous combustion may have random accidental causes rather than being something supernatural. Look, I don't know. I'm no scientist here and I don't believe much in the paranormal either, but to me, as an ordinary person, human combustion could be a possibility in the sense that our bodies, they have all sorts of chemical reactions, we have all kinds of metals inside, vitamins, proteins, whatever else we have going on. Is it not possible that you could eat or drink something or even inhale something which then produces a chemical reaction in your body? I mean, just to give you a very simple example here, chili peppers. You can get heartburn from eating them or stomach burn, but not everyone gets it. The same goes with alcohol. You drink the same as another person, but you could get drunk with less alcohol than the other person. Is it not possible that certain people could have reacted differently to various factors and then they just boom? But then, on the other hand, it's also possible that Jacqueline caught fire from the stove, it got to her apron, and by the time she reached the stairs, the apron went in contact with her clothing, which then caught fire. It's also possible that the other victims caused the fire accidentally, a cigarette, a candle, I don't know. Either way, by the end of this video, I am still confused, and to me still is a mystery with all of the scientific explanations. I still don't see, it's still not clear to me if spontaneous human combustion exists or doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm still confused. Kind of in a way makes sense, then in another way it doesn't make sense. Then anyway, thank you guys for staying with me. Please do let me know what do you guys think in the comment section down below. For now, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!